Hey everyone, today we're diving into something that, let's be honest, probably affects every single one of us, our stolen focus. We're going to break down why it feels like it's getting harder and harder to just pay attention. So let's get right into it. So if you've ever felt that pull, that constant distraction that keeps you from getting anything done, I want you to hear this loud and clear. It is not your fault. Seriously. This isn't some personal failure or a lack of willpower. It's a huge systemic problem, and there are powerful forces at play that are affecting all of us. And what's actually at stake here? Well, author Johann Hari breaks it down into three types of attention that we're losing. First, you've got your spotlight, which is for what you're doing right now. Then there's starlight, which is your ability to see your long-term goals, your bigger purpose. And finally, daylight, which is your ability to even know what your goals are in the first place. And the scary part? All three of them are getting dimmer. Okay, so to really get why this is happening, let's look at the first major cause: the insane speed and amount of information coming at us every single day. And this isn't just some small thing, it's literally changing how our brains work. Just look at this number. Back in 2007, the average person was taking in the equivalent of 174 newspapers worth of information every single day. And that was years ago. Imagine what it is now. It's like trying to take a sip of water from a fire hose. Our brains just were not built for this kind of overload. And here's the fundamental problem. As neuroscientist Earl Miller points out, our conscious mind has a pretty tight bottleneck. It can really only focus on one or two things at a time. I mean, think about it. Our brains haven't had a major upgrade in about 40,000 years, but we've built a digital world that just completely overwhelms them. And that mismatch leads us straight to the big myth of our modern lives: multitasking. We all tell ourselves we're amazing at it, juggling a dozen things at once. But the reality? Our brains can't do that. What we're actually doing is something called task switching, just bouncing frantically from one thing to the next. And let me tell you, that switching comes with a very real cost. And that cost is massive. Every single time you get interrupted, whether it's a Slack notification, an email, whatever, it takes an average of 23 minutes to get back to that deep level of focus you were in before. That's called the switch cost effect. And it's not just a waste of time. It makes us less creative, it makes us worse at remembering things, and we end up making more mistakes. All right, now for our second major factor, because it's not just about the amount of information. There are actual forces out there that are intentionally designed to chip away at our ability to focus, starting with one of the most basic things we need: sleep. I mean, this quote right here is just, wow. It's so honest, it's kind of chilling, right? When the CEO of Netflix flat out says his biggest competitor isn't another streaming service, it's sleep, and that they're winning, that tells you everything about the battle being waged for every second of our attention. And you know what? The data shows he's not wrong. Just look at the drop. Over the last century, our average nightly sleep has plummeted by about 20%. Our always-on, 24/7 culture, powered by our glowing screens, means we're starting every day with a brain that's already running on empty. And here's the really crucial part. Not all sleep is the same. The most important phase, REM sleep, that's when your brain cleans itself out and processes memories, happens mostly at the end of the night. So if you cut your sleep short by even just an hour and a half, you could be losing up to 80% of your REM. You wake up with a brain that's still full from the day before, making it almost impossible to concentrate. So on top of being tired, we're also dealing with the business model that basically runs the internet: surveillance capitalism. It's a fancy term, but here's what it means. Tech companies track everything you click, watch, and like. They use all that data to build this freakishly accurate digital model of you. Some people call it a voodoo doll. And then they use that doll to predict and manipulate what you'll do next for advertisers. So please, don't think for a second that features like infinite scroll or autoplay are just happy accidents. They were designed on purpose. Asa Raskin, the guy who invented infinite scroll, did it specifically to hack our psychology and remove any natural reason to stop. The apps on your phone are not neutral tools. They are meticulously engineered to grab and hold on to your attention for as long as possible. Okay, I know this all sounds incredibly overwhelming, but it is not a lost cause. In this last section, we're going to talk about how we can actually start to fight back, both for ourselves and as a bigger community. So, on a personal level, here's one really powerful habit you can build: the 60-minute morning. The rule is simple. For the first hour you're awake, just stay off your phone. Use that time to reconnect with your daylight and think about what's important. Then use your starlight to plan your day around those goals. And finally, use your spotlight to just work deeply on one thing without distraction. Another amazing strategy is something called pre-commitment. Think of it like this. You know the story of Ulysses tying himself to the mast of his ship so he couldn't be lured by the siren's song? That's pre-commitment. You make a choice now to limit your choices later. Put your phone in another room when you need to work. Use an app to block distracting websites. You're basically protecting your future self from your own worst impulses.
But, and this is so important, we have to be careful of a trap called cruel optimism. That's when we take this massive systemic problem and pretend it can be fixed with just a few life hacks. It's cruel because when those little fixes don't work, and they often can't on their own, we end up blaming ourselves instead of the system that was designed to make us fail in the first place.
And that is exactly why this has to be a collective fight. We need what you could call an attention rebellion. We have to start demanding huge structural changes, things like banning surveillance capitalism, pushing for a 4-day workweek to fight burnout, and completely rethinking childhood to make room for unstructured, imaginative free play. Because in the end, it all boils down to this one question. Is our ability to think deeply, to solve our problems, to be creative, to be present with the people we love, is that worth fighting for? For ourselves and for the next generation? If your answer is yes, then it's time we start fighting to get our focus back, together.